In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to animate your logo from a Motion Array Premiere Pro template. This video comes from Harley Throttle. Harley, thank you for the comment. Thanks for checking out the channel. I hope this video answers your question. If you have any other questions, drop them below. I'm happy to help. You're having trouble animating your logo. So in this video, I'm going to be downloading a Motion Array logo template and walking you through step by step how to add your logo and animate your logo in Premiere Pro. Now, logo templates are something that I do highly recommend. They're fairly easy, but there are some common mistakes. We're going to cover all that and more in this tutorial. By the end of this video, whether you work with a specific logo template that I provide an example of in this video, or you're working with your own, this should answer the question for you of how to actually get your logo animated so you don't run into any more problems, and so that you can replicate this process over and over again with any logo template that you want. All right, you guys, so once you're in Motion Array and you're signed into your account, what you're gonna do is look for the templates. Now, Motion Array just updated their UI, so depending on when you're watching this video, it might look slightly different than this, but we're gonna be going into Adobe Premiere Pro templates because we're gonna be looking for a logo template that we wanna use for our logo. All right, so there are going to be a lot of different templates at first, so it's important to narrow the search down. So I'm going to search for logo animation. You can just simply search for logo as well. And I'm still here seeing a lot of text, for example. So I'm going to highlight this logo icon at the bottom here. And now what you'll see is you'll be able to, view a lot of different logo samples and templates. Here we have a digital one. And so what I want you to do is go ahead and browse a lot of the templates and see which one you want to use for yourself. Okay, that's a nice clean logo. So I'm going to go ahead and work with this one. So I'm simply going to click download. When I click download, it's going to bring me to this screen where I can preview this, as well as what it shows here is the music that they've included within this logo animation. So if you like the logo animation when you play it and you also like the music that they use, make sure to download the music that's not included in this template, but there's a hyperlink here. So if I right click and say open link in new tab, I'll be able to preview this logo sound and also download it. Okay, so I'm going to download both for the sake of going through and making a complete tutorial. So I'm going to download the song there, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to download the logo animation here. Okay, now this is a Premiere Pro template. There are other forms of logo animation templates that you can download, like After Effects templates, for example, DaVinci Resolve templates, but the request for this video is a Premiere Pro template. So as you guys can see here in the bottom, I'm going to be animating, just a simple company logo. So this is the logo that I'm going to be animating. For the sake of this video, you're going to want to have your logo ready. And that's all you're going to need. We have our music, we have our logo animation. So I'm going to go ahead and click Show in Folder. That's going to show me my logo animation. I'm going to right click and press Extract. And because I'm doing this quickly, I'm not organizing these files. I'm going to delete them after the filming of this video, but you can go ahead and organize these into a specific folder on your computer, laptop, or wherever you're currently editing. And follow along this tutorial so that you have them for future use. I'm also going to right click on the audio and press Extract. Okay. And the first thing I want to do is open up the logo folder. Okay. And I'm looking for the Premiere Pro template. So I'm going to keep on opening it up until I see Premiere Pro. And then I'm going to open that up one more time. And there's going to be a Premiere Pro project that I can double click and open. And that is immediately going to open up Premiere Pro. All right, so once we have our project open, it's going to look something exactly like this. You can zoom up on it. You should be able to see the preview at the top, and you'll see these green sequences. Now, whenever a sequence is green, It's what's called a nested sequence. And so the first thing that you want to look at is just the overall layout. Now, sometimes the logo templates are going to look more complicated than others. What I recommend doing is, if you're just starting out in this process, you can toggle the track here. So you'll be able to, turn it off and turn it on to see what's going on in this track. So if we do that, this logo to in looks like the actual logo animation. If I do that to the background, you can see that the background color is just simply white, right? And we can go ahead and watch this. All right, so just a nice clean logo animation. And what we want to do is bring in our logo. So I'm going to locate my logo and I'm just going to simply drag it into Premiere Pro. Okay, it's importing. There it is. So I can double click on it and preview it. There's our 8482 logo. A common error that I see people do a lot is they bring the logo right on top of the logo template. And you can scale it down, for example, so that it looks good, and then they'll play it and they'll be like, well, what happened to, the animation? So that's the first common error that I see. That might be a very beginner error. And if you are making that error, it's completely fine. But what we want to do is actually go inside these nested sequences. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and double click it. And now it brings me, as you can see, it opened up another sequence in the top. So if you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Where did my project go? You can simply click on that first sequence and you'll be redirected to the final logo animation. All right, so now we can just go ahead and head over to this other sequence that we opened up when we pressed the nested sequence. And I'm going to zoom up and just look again at what's going on. Now, if you're extremely confused and overwhelmed, you can just toggle these tracks again and you can look and see, okay, well, that second one there looks like the circle. What is this one? Wow, that's weird. And just get a general idea. Okay, there's something going on there with the title. There's something going on with there with the title. But the main thing that we're looking at is, to see if there's more nested sequences. As you guys can see here, it does look like there are. So I want to open those up first thing, and we're looking for where we can put our logo. Okay, so I'm going to open this nested sequence up again. I'm going to open it up again, and boom, there we see a nested sequence that says logo, and it doesn't have a logo in it. You can tell it doesn't have a logo in it because the nested sequence has these lines over it, as opposed to if we come back, this nested sequence is completely filled in. So I'm going to double click and open up this logo. All right. Now there sometimes is a placeholder logo, but in this template there isn't. So it's even more confusing. Okay. It does show us, however, how long that logo should be. So I'm going to take my logo and I'm going to bring it into this sequence. Okay. I'm going to click on my logo. In this case, it's way too big. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to come up to the top left and I'm going to scale that logo down. You can either grab the scale and use your mouse to make it smaller or bigger, or you can simply click on it and then put in, 45, for example. And I'm going to put in 35, for example. I'm going to scale it down to 25. I'm going to scale it down to whatever size I want to. And then I'm going to make sure that I grab the end of it and I drag it far enough so that it's past, the placeholder. I can even zoom out, and just to be safe, I can drag it even further. Okay, just so that I know that it's going to not cut off at any point in time during the logo animation. And that should have been step one. So what I want to do now is I want to head back to my nested sequence. And as you can see here, wow, that's really small. Okay. So this is how you're going to be able to check the size of your logo. So I'm going to come back to the logo and I can increase the size again. Let's say I want to make it a little bigger. I can come back to my nested sequence and now it's a little bit bigger. Let's go back to the one before it. Okay. Nothing really changed. Let's go back to the one before it. Okay. Now you can see my logo is moving with the animation. It's still small though. So I'm going to come back to the logo and I'm going to increase its size. Okay. Let's make it so that it's almost as big as this sequence. And let's come back. There we go. That's looking much better. Okay. But now I need to change this text, right? This text is not what I want. And now I have two options here. I can either change the text, so I could put in my website, for example. I could put in the name of my company here if you're wanting to do that. Or I can, again, press these these arrows, right? And I can actually remove the text. Okay, so I just have the logo animation. If I wanted to do that, I would come back to the very beginning, and now I have my logo animation without any text whatsoever. It's a little high, so I can take this nested sequence and I can bring it down to the center. And if I wanted to play that and see what it looks like, there you go. You can see that you have the logo animation, and that might be everything that you want and everything that you need. Now, all of these nested sequences are slightly different, right? So I'm going to actually press Control Z, so I'm back to the same. So I'm going to have to do the same thing by removing the text to this nested sequence and to this nested sequence, if that's what I want to do. But for the sake of this tutorial, I just wanted to show you how to do that. I'm actually going to now show you how to go in and change the text. So we changed the logo. Okay, now we're going to want to change the text. So I'm looking for the next nested sequences, right? So here I see title 1. Let's look and see what that is. Okay, that looks like the motion array title. Let's go ahead and look at title 2. Okay, that looks like the www.motionarray.com, right? So I'm going to press the nested sequence. I'm going to double click it here. And now I see the motion array text. So I'm going to double click that text again to see if it pops up as a text window, but it doesn't. So I know that I can actually just double click on the motion array text there and change it directly from the screen. Okay, so sometimes you can do that. And I'm just prefacing you guys because sometimes you'll actually have to double click this again and it will open up a new window where you can change the text. But in the case of this logo animation, I can change it directly from the screen here. Now, let's say I don't like this font, right? And I want to change the font. Well, I'm going to make sure that I actually press the selection tool here. I select the text, and then I want to come up to the Essential Graphics panel. If you don't see the Essential Graphics panel, you can hover over Window and make sure that Essential Graphics here is selected with this blue check mark, okay? Once it's selected and the text is selected with the selection tool, I can come in to the fonts and I can choose the same font that I use for my business. Or if you don't have a specific font yet, you can just simply, change the text here. So let's, for the sake of this, let's go with Bebas Bold, okay? As an example. All right. You can also come back to the Essential Graphics and let's say, I don't want any kerning. The letters look a little smushed, so I'm just going to play around with that. And feel free to, play around. You could change the text size here, for example. And again, remember, Control Z will allow you to go back if you do a change that you don't like. Okay. All right. So I changed text 1. Let's just press close. Okay, I can close this window. It will take me right back to the previous window. Now I need to change text 2. Okay, so I'm going to now locate text 2. I'm looking again for that green nested sequence. I'm going to double click that. I can try double clicking this at the bottom, but it doesn't do anything. So I'm going to come straight up and click on this text here. And I'm going to go www.8482media.com. Okay. And again, I can change the font if I want to. If I'm under this Essential Graphics panel and I click at the top here to the text, sometimes you won't see that. If you don't see that, you're like, where is that? You need to make sure again that you grab the selection tool and you click on that text. Then it will come up and you'll be able to make those changes. You can also change the color, right? You can change the color. You can add a stroke or a background or a shadow. But we're going to call it quits for now. And now I have my logo. I have my text. I have everything included. But I want to show you one last thing, which is how the heck do I change that color? So I haven't worked with this template before, but I'm going to figure it out here. Let's open up the title. So as you can see, there's no way to change the color in the title. So it's definitely not that. But there are these other these other layers in here. So I'm going to double click the layer and see what happens. Wow. So when I clicked that, I got a color window popping up. Okay. So that is going to be how I know to change the color. So let's say I wanted to make this yellow. Okay. All right. I can see that change the color there of title 2. Let's say I wanted to copy that color. So I'm going to open it again. I'm going to take that same exact color, press Control, copy. I'm going to come down to title 1, and I'm going to paste that same ugly yellow color that for some reason I selected there. Okay, now I've figured out a way to change the text. Now, if you guys can see up close here, I can zoom this up. You can see there's a shadow under this text. Okay, let's say I wanted to change that shadow. Well, here it says Title 1 shadow. I'm going to double click that. Let's say I want to make that white. I'm going to press white, and now you can see that that changed as well. And now the same thing applies for this circle around the logo. I can also change that. And my guess is that it's going to be in the nested sequence for circle. And it is. So I'm going to double click that nested sequence for circle. It says circle fill here. All right, look at that. I can change that to my yellow color. And then it says circle shadow. I can open that by double clicking it and change that to white. And then look at what we've done. Okay, we've completely changed the color. And if we go back to our original logo, it's hard to see the yellow with the white background, but I can show you guys there, we've changed the color as well. Okay. And then it's important to just check that these other nested sequences changed as well. Remember the first time when we hid the layers, they didn't, but when we actually go in and change nested sequences, those are going to change all the nested sequences in the project. Okay, so the final step would be to go ahead and watch your logo, make sure it's exactly the way you want it. I can put this, I can put this back on, I can change the colors, I could change the text, I could change the logo. Or I could choose to, again, remove any of these layers to change that. Let's say I don't want the circle around the logo, right? Well, I can come into the nested sequences and I can hide the circle. You see how I just did that? The nested sequences of the circle, I hid it. So I'm going to come back and the first nested sequence there, the circle is gone. I can come into the second nested sequence. I can hide the circle again. All right. And then I can come into the final and third nested sequence and I can hide the circle. And now, I'm able to completely customize this template so that it works for me. So if you remember now, I also downloaded a song, right? So I'm going to come back to my downloads folder. I'm going to double click on the logo reveal sound. I'm going to find and locate which one I want. And I'm going to drag that down to the audio. Okay. And the same thing applies here. I can listen to it. I can make sure that's the sound effect I want. I could even go back to motion array. I could come up to audio. I could click sound effects and I can search for, intro here, and I can find an intro song by browsing that I think will fit perfectly for the logo that I want to create. I can come back and import that. Okay. So let's say this is the perfect song that I want. Now I'm ready to export. I can come up, press File, Export Media, and I can select my output name and location. Let's call this 8482 logo example. Okay, I'm just going to export it to my downloads folder since this is a draft. Okay, I want to change the format to H.264. QuickTime is going to take a little too long. Match source high bitrate is just great as a very simple way to export your video for social media or your logo if it's going on a website or anything like that. I'm going to select use maximum render quality, and that can just keep things very simple. I see my aspect ratio is going to be the same as the sequence that the logo was. All right. So make sure that that's what you want. And if you have any other questions about export settings or anything along this process, just leave them in the comments below. I'll get to them and then you'll just press export. Okay. So that finished exporting, I can come back and look at exactly where I downloaded it and I can play it. And that completes this tutorial. Thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully that answered your question, Harley. If it did, drop a comment below. Let me know. I would love to touch base with you again in the comment section. If it didn't and you're working with a template that was a lot different than the one that I covered in this video, go ahead and shoot me a link to that specific template. I'll make sure to record another video. If you're new and you're watching this video, subscribe to the channel if this helped you out. If you're looking for specific tutorials, drop them in the comment section below. I'm going to try to get to everybody. Right now the channel is really small, so I will have the chance to answer every single specific question that you guys have when it comes to editing. So far this channel has been focused on templates because that's a lot of what you guys are looking for. But if there's anything else when it comes to podcast production, video editing, content creation, social media, marketing, advertising, etc., drop it in the comment section below. I just want to focus on the early stages of helping you guys out because you guys are the first people, that have come into this channel. So I really want to support and appreciate you guys for everything that you are. So Harley, thanks so much for the comment, and we will see you guys next time.